Are you wondering where to start with completing the Safer Food, Better Business for Caterers pack? Well, wonder no more. I'm Chartered Environmental Health Officer Natalie Stanton, and I'm going to guide you through how to complete the Safer Food, Better. Ensuring food safety is crucial in any food business. And the Safer Food, Better Business pack is a great tool to help small businesses comply with food safety regulations. Let's first of all start by understanding what Safer Food, Better Business is and why you need it. So it's actually a legal requirement for a food business to have a documented food safety management system in place. And that's exactly what SFBB is. It's a documented food safety management system that the Food Standards Agency has created to help small businesses meet this legal requirement. But if you just download the pack as it is a generic system. So you do need to tailor it to your business. And that's what we're going to look at in this video. Now, let's take a closer look at what's actually inside the Safer Food, Better Business pack. So I predominantly like to see it in two distinct parts. So if you're looking at the pack now, you'll see that the front half is made up of some safe methods. And these are cross-contamination, chilling, cleaning, cooking, and management. So they're the safe methods. Later on in the video, I'll show you how to complete these safe methods. Now the second part of the pack is the diary section, and this is towards the back of the pack. So I like to explain it to businesses like this. The safe methods are a one-off. You spend time completing them once and then they're done. You just need to make sure you then follow them in practice. If anything changes in your business, such as your products, preparation methods, ingredients, suppliers, etc., you will need to go back through to the relevant safe methods and update them accordingly. And then the diary is what you use every day. So let's now focus on the safe methods sections in the front half of the pack. So this part of the pack outlines the essential food safety practices that you need to implement in your business. When looking at the pack, you'll see that each safe method is subdivided into different food safety topics. So let's use the first safe method as an example, and which is cross-contamination. So the cross-contamination safe method consists of the following sections. The first one is personal hygiene and fitness to work. Then there's cloths, separating foods, food allergies, physical and chemical contamination, pest control, and maintenance. Most of the topics are then split up into three columns. So column 1 highlights the safety point. This is essentially emphasizing the things that are important to food safety. The second column explains the why behind the safety point. Why do you need to do this to ensure food safety? Now, reading through this information as you complete the pack is actually going to be really helpful for you in your business. It's going to massively help you get prepared for your food hygiene inspection. And it's also going to give you a really good idea of the sorts of things that the officer is going to be looking at and going to expect to see. Now the third column then in the pack is the how do you do this section. And completing these parts is where you really begin to personalize the pack to your business. So for some of the how do you do this sections, you just need to tick yes or no. For example, one of the questions is, are your staff trained to wash their hands before preparing food? So for this one, I hope that you're going to be ticking yes. Now you might be thinking, but Natalie, I don't have any staff. So what should I do when it comes to a question like this? Don't panic. If it's just you, then ask the question of yourself. So for example, do I wash my hands before preparing food? So that's how you complete the safe methods. Work through each of them, read the safety points, and complete the how do you do this sections that appear throughout the safe methods in the pack. Now you might be thinking, but Natalie, some parts of the pack just don't apply to my business. So what should I do in this situation? Again, don't panic. This is very common. Just complete the parts of the pack that are relevant to your business. A tip I often give to food business owners, if there are any sections or questions just aren't relevant to you, then it's a good idea to put not applicable, so NA, next to these parts, or even at the top of a page, if say, for example, a whole page isn't relevant to your business. And the reason this is a good idea to do is because it actually shows to the officer that you've taken the time to read through the pack and determine which parts are and aren't relevant to your business. Finally then, at the very end of the Safe Methods section is a Safe Methods completion record. So once you've worked through the pack, you've completed all of the safe methods that are relevant to your business, you should sign and date this completion record. If a safe method isn't relevant, then there's a box for you to tick to show that you have determined that the safe method isn't relevant. Before we move on to the second half of the pack, which is the diary section, I just wanted to say that if you would find it useful for me to create some videos where I actually go through a whole safe method step by step, or if you have any other questions relating to SFBB, feel free to drop them in the comments and I'll see if I can create a future video around this topic. So here we are at the diary. To get started with the diary, I suggest you fill out the sections, so for your name, your business name, and start date. So the start date is the date you start completing the diary. The diary section then consists of the following sections: week to view diary pages, checks to do every day when you open and close, so these are known as opening and closing checks, the 4 weekly review, staff training records, suppliers list, contacts list, and cleaning schedule. So let's first look at the actual diary sheets. Now the diary should be completed each day that your business is trading. And this is something the EHO will check during your food hygiene inspection. On most days, the diary should only take a couple of minutes for you to complete, but if something different happens or something goes wrong, then it may take a little longer. In the diary then, you need to tick to show when you've completed your opening and your closing checks. Make sure you do these in real time. What I mean is, don't tick the opening and closing checks at the start of the day if you haven't done them yet. And I've seen this a lot over the years. I would inspect a business, say in the morning, but when I look at the diary, I've seen that they've already ticked to say they've done the opening and the closing checks for that day. And this just isn't believable. And it makes the officer doubt whether you're actually doing the checks that you should be doing, or whether you're just ticking to say you've done them and you haven't done them at all. Now the diary then, it provides a list of standard opening and closing checks, but you can add to this list any additional checks you do, and you can also cross out any that you don't do. And it is really important that your staff are trained in how to do these checks as well. The other thing to note is that if your diary has been ticked to show the opening checks have been done, so for example, one of the checks is to make sure there's plenty of hand washing materials, including soap and paper towels at each wash hand basin. If the EHO turns up that same morning, shortly after you've ticked to say you've done your checks, and they're there to do your inspection, if they then go to the wash hand basin and there's no soap or there's no paper towels, this creates a really bad impression. It makes it look like you're not actually doing the checks. And this is again something I've encountered a lot over the years. So on most days then, the diary should only take a couple of minutes to complete. But if something different happens or something goes wrong, then it may take a little longer. So if something does go wrong, then you need to make a note in the diary of what happened and what action you took to make sure the food that you serve remains safe to eat. So, for example, if your fridge breaks down, then you need to record the issue, what steps you took, which can include getting it repaired, transferring the food to another fridge, or maybe even disposing of the food if it was left at an unsafe temperature for an extended period of time. Then the manager, or if it's just you, then you, should sign the diary every day to confirm that the opening and closing checks have been completed and that the safe methods have been followed in your business that day. Let's now look at the 4 weekly review section. This section prompts you to review the previous 4 weeks and identify any reoccurring issues. You then need to write down details of these problems, if there have been any, and outline your plan for addressing them, which could include retraining staff or just changing or adapting slightly how you do things in your business. There's then a staff training record. So if you have staff, complete this record for each staff member to document the training dates for each of the safe methods. Now, not every staff member needs to be needs to be trained in every safe method. It's going to be dependent on their job roles. So for example, a staff member who works in the front of house wouldn't necessarily need to be trained in the cooking section, whereas a chef is probably going to need to be trained in all of the safe methods. Let's now fly through the remaining bits in the diary section. So there's a suppliers list which you can use to record details of your suppliers. Make sure you update this as well as and when you change suppliers. Now, if you don't fill in this section, you won't be scored down, as long as you can show to the officer who your suppliers are, either through telling them or showing the invoices from your suppliers if they want to see them. But filling out the supplier section can make your life a bit easier during your inspection because all the information is in one place. There's then a contact list, and again, it isn't mandatory to fill this in, but it can be useful to have a record of useful contacts for your business. For example, contacts at your local authority environmental health department, maybe your pest control company or your refuse collection company. And then finally, there is a cleaning schedule. If you're using your own cleaning schedule, then you don't need to complete this one. But if you are going to complete it, then I recommend walking through your premises and making a list of everything that needs to be cleaned. Some items you may be able to group together. For each item or group of items, then write down how often they need to be cleaned, any safety precautions that need to be followed, for example, the need to wear gloves or goggles, and then the method of cleaning. So the method of cleaning then should include how you clean the items, what chemicals you use, how to use the chemicals, and what equipment you use to clean each item. So once you have the pack, so I recommend you work through it section by section. Complete all of the relevant safe methods that are applicable to your business. You don't need to do the whole thing at once because I appreciate it can seem daunting. But each safe method takes roughly 1 hour to complete. So you could consider maybe doing one section at a time, so maybe one safe method per day or per week, depending on how much time you have to get the pack in place. After you've completed all of the relevant sections, there are then 2 crucial steps that you need to follow. The first one is to make sure you and your staff follow these safe methods all the time in practice in your business. And it's really important that your staff are trained in how to handle and prepare food safely in line with your safe methods. The second thing is make sure you complete the diary every day that your business is operating. This includes signing the diary to confirm the completion of the opening and closing checks and also adherence to the safe methods. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you found it helpful. Please like, comment and subscribe for more useful tips for your business. And don't forget to check out the video description for links to access the Safer Food Better Business Pack and some additional resources.